I am COD Cold War and welcome to my new top co-op campaign, local co-op campaign list. Now, what you're seeing flashing past you in the background are previous games that exist to that rule that I haven't put in the list. I'm going to timestamp them all. I feel I've just been hammering on about them way too much lately. And my kind of mission is to make sure that the people who are on board with me, my subscribers, don't see too many repeats and it's all fresh and I focus on stuff that I haven't done in the past. So let's get started. We're starting with Portal Night.
Can't believe you've done this.
Now this is a slot that I wanted to put in a family friendly game. This list is quite gun, gore and monster heavy, hence the reason I put it together. But this one, I wanted to make sure that everybody could get involved. Now, Portal Knights, now I need to pitch this correctly, is kind of a split screen Minecraft with more melee combat and a third person perspective, but it's also about sort of teleporting to different biomes, which do have quite a large amount of diversity, using really cool on the fly crafting mechanics, and there is a block and build mechanic. So yes, you can build a little hut and put a workbench in it and have a little central base that you two both teleport to and from. It's extremely autonomous for a split screen game, and it actually runs perfectly on the PlayStation 4. This is 5 footage, no boost, but it's just so leveled. It's got so much more than a game like Minecraft Dungeons. It's a full-on RPG that revolves around crafting, enemy killing, but most importantly, it has a structured two-player split-screen campaign that's huge. These biomes are massive, there's loads of them, the bosses are epic, and if you have a younger one, this is really applicable, and they might even get on board with the Minecraft block building connection. Moving Out is up next, and of course if you know me, you know that the old Overcooked 2 and 1 would normally exist in this area, and yes, they have just recently all featured on a PvP list, which was awesome. But this of course is about campaign and content that allows two people to sit down and enjoy, not procedure generated, not a roguelike, gotta have that lovely structure, pick your level, and this is very cool on that front, giving you like a top-down world map with a little van to drive around. And here's the thing, loads of accolades, beautiful, amazing timed accolades that you can retry on the levels. There aren't technically boss fights, there are sort of crescendo levels, but this is a very accessible game, and it's not as harsh as Overcooked with what you've got to manage and what's going on, and the hilarities are pretty damn awesome. Is it very hard? No. Are the controls really easy? Yes. Is this visual style just appealing to loads of people? Totally. And it doesn't break any brain cells with what you've got to accomplish. But there are pretty cool staggered puzzles, and there's amazing accolades. One of which is trying to get that tortoise into the back of the van. He does not stay still. It's loads of fun. I love the replayability on this. It's kind of pretty cool against Overcooked. It's more of a passive experience, and as I say, it's more of a split screen campaign like co-op experience. Unrailed is up next. I always default to calling it Derailed. Had to actually Google the title again. My memory has gone full, come on man, in the last couple of years. Derailed is actually kind of what happens though when you're playing the game. You are building a track with elements that are found within the map, and things are happening to try and disrupt that process, i.e. stuff in the way, water, crazy people coming to move all your resources around, a fire on the train itself, nighttime, there's loads of variables. This is very, very good and only spoken about once on a greatest hits list that came out a couple of years ago. Is it a campaign? Technically, just. You're looking at seeded runs and a little bit of procedural generation, but what I want to focus on is the communication, the camaraderie, and the co-op element of the gameplay model. It's fantastic. You are constantly talking to each other, working things out, and the pace is perfect, giving you day and night little upgrades at the end of each level, which will increase the size of the train and make the light bigger, maybe give you a bigger bucket for the water, the bucket and the water stuff. And I love the idea of there being a potential versus mode in it, and I cannot believe I didn't put it in my PvP list. I'm so sorry everybody, but test it because I haven't yet. This versus same screen, oof. yes, okay, it's time for Don't Starve, and I know I'm teetering very dangerously on the procedural generation slash roguelike rule for this list, but if we think about this, this is kind of a campaign. The objective is to stay alive and not die at night, but it is technically a survival game with no real levels or bosses, but it's got hundreds of hours in it. And the kind of mecca for this game is to become comfortable, start farming, befriend different races within the map yourself, and go underground, get all these cool rare elements and start making science machines, ray guns, elaborate traps. It's mind-blowingly big and it's still updating itself. I had a new update come in for this a couple of days ago, which prompted me to think, yeah, let's kind of have a look. And lo and behold, loads of new playable characters. Each character has got very much RPG elements to what perks they have and how they can benefit or synergize with whoever else is being chosen. It's a very complicated aspect of the game and completely changes your playstyle depending on who you pick. It's not the most structured of campaigns, but it's one of the most famous split-screen games out there. Talking of famous split-screen games, an Ark's been around for a long time and has been floating around those top 10 areas because they keep pumping in new maps and new content for free. The game's size is unfathomable, and as a survival game it's one of the best on the market. And we also are looking at the PlayStation 5 split screen footage of that new Genesis 2 map. By the way, you've got a jetpack and brand new dinos everywhere, some of which are mechanical looking. There's even smoke and different volumetric effects put into this map. It's mind-blowing and a hugely strong co-op split-screen game. The campaign is a hard sell because it's a survival game. You've kind of got to make your own, i.e. get to goals and objectives that you've created yourself to achieve. But there is of course an end game to Ark. There is that promised land of getting all of the tech, all the cool buildings, taming all of the dinos and just becoming the Mac Daddy of the map. I've sunk easily thousands of hours into Ark. I never bore of it, and it's got a fantastic server system, private server system, and everything on a split screen level is not shied away from you. Online, PvP, PvE, all the new content, all the new bought DLC, everything is there for two people. And with the 5, and I have reviewed this standalone on a performance level for split screen, it totally smashes it. Hell of an accolade for a game that's coming up to over half a decade old and has just not been sequeled yet. For God's sakes, what are you doing with that wild card? Yes, Outward. Yes, campaign. Yes, split screen. Yes, co-op. One of the best on the market. Hand on heart, I love this game to bits. It has not shone enough in the media. It's so annoying not to see people pushing this out to the front of the queue, and I haven't spoken about it enough, hence the reason I'm whacking it straight centerpiece on this list. It's a beautiful little game. I say little with the tongue in cheek because it's an open world crafting almost like a feudal, medieval, crazy creatures, awesome melee weapons, sword and sorcery, magic, massive infantry management, ailments, disease, real-time day and night weather. Man, so much love's gone into Outward. It has a lock-on in combat and a block. It's really, truly an action-adventure game to its core. It is something that you can play almost separately on the same screen. You can wander off. There's no tethering, Ark, Returnal, and it's just a joy. Every time I fire it up, everybody gets so into it. You were shouting. There's no map, right? So you cannot actually position yourself within this world to a pinpoint. So everything's got to be done by sight. So certain caves and all these sort of areas that are of interest need to be remembered. It's a brilliant system, and it causes you to really take in your surroundings and rare items, magic, character choice and build. But that freedom aspect is not too much of use because you need to stick together in this very harsh, very difficult world. Leaving the other player on his own is just going to end badly for both people. So that promotion of teamwork, because of how the elements are affecting the players, is the way forward, I think. Things is getting juicy now with Divinity Original Sin coming out in the top end of this list. It is a sequel to an original phenomenal game, which I totally recommend looking at. Completely the same amazing system with the split screen implemented in the original game. It's not like the sequel has better stuff, but it has more depth, a bigger story, a lot more items, and some seriously cool tweaked graphics. What is Divinity Original Sin? It's a turn-based, stay with me, action RPG, which is just D&D pen and paper based, numbers, stats, spells, casting, amazing enemies, the NPC dialogue, everything is just lavishly done. It's a beautiful production. The game is sold like hotcakes. It's still going really strong. That team are amazing. This is a top-notch split screen co-op adventure. Just scrutinizing it still in its detail to this day still kind of blows the mind. This isn't even like high-end gear, but the way that the smooth frame rates and the analog stick allowing you to zoom in and out, and of course how separate everything is with the two players, nothing ties you in. You are quite literally playing two games parallel to each other, but when combat kicks off, the other person joins the party, which is a brilliant idea. And then you start to take turns in the combat. Communication needs to be there because someone might do something crazy. It's also got one of the best intros when it comes to a co-op campaign, introducing you to the game's mechanics and environments incredibly well with that ship and the Kraken attack. And it isn't simple, and this is again an accessibility war here. You've got to be into your RPGs, stats, casting spells, action points, looking at tactical situations, learning how to use elements and when the best time to spend all your points or retreat is. It is a harsh learning process, and you do need to manually save loads because you'll just die. It will re-upload a really bad point in the game. Just be careful about painting yourself into a corner with the save and load system. Okay, we're in the top 3 and slamming in, very new. The most recent game on the entire list, came out literally a month ago, is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is an upgraded or completely revamped standalone version of Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep. I'm badly pitching that. It's not a version, it's just a whole new thing under the banner of that crazy Tiny Tina. It's super hectic, super crazy. You are looking at the PlayStation 5 version of the game, and you do get the option on horizontal and vertical split. The game focuses on flashy magic as opposed to loads of guns, and that will make everything just seem like a vomit rainbow on screen. But that's not bad. That's what I bought the game for, was to have this awesome visual variety. But I don't know whether there is enough new Borderlands content in this game to warrant it being higher on the list. Spoiler. It's on it because it's 2022 and we're still having awesome co-op split screen campaign AAA games coming out of the gate, and I want to make sure that's responded to and thanked, because we are moving into an era, I think, where the local co-op gaming setup, well, you've only got to look at the channel's popularity since about 2018, seems to be waning a bit. I think we're all now looking at being in our own homes on our own systems. The lockdown didn't help that much, but this is just so great to see that the industry still cares about us. If you'd like to see slightly more in-depth performance reviews on the split screen level of both versions of Wonderlands on the PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation 5, links in description below.
Locals are hostile. The gate is sealed and we're trapped.
Oh man, we had some fun with this. And this is another difficult thing. I had a friend over and we were into this on its original release on the Xbox 360, and of course I bought the revamped version for the PlayStation 4, which incidentally is absolutely amazing. With the unlocks, it gives you all of the content that you want to go to instantly without having to unlock fiddly stuff within campaign. And this campaign, Holy crap. We kept saying to each other, they don't make them like this anymore. They just don't make games like this anymore. Now that isn't a reference to its hideous tank controls, because they kind of attract me a little bit. I like the panic of having to work out what the hell you're going to do, because you can only walk forward at 2 miles an hour. You can't dodge roll. It's a real shock. But everything about Resident Evil 5 on a co-op level, especially with this mercenary mode, is limitless when it comes to the fun, support and panic that gets induced by this game's mechanics. Resident Evil 6 kept the Mercenaries mode in, and it's the one shining gem of that entire disc. Now, 7 has just not bothered with any split screen, and of course 8 is gone. It's like Mercenaries after you finish the game, and I'm not going to see that Mercenaries mode. I'm not going to go through that entire game. I'm just so annoyed that I'm not going to get time to do it. I'm probably halfway through. I didn't know at the time that this was the pinnacle of some of Resident Evil's content on a couch co-op level, and I wish I'd savoured it more. And of course, if you have never seen this game, it is absolute dirt cheap at the moment on just about every system. I'm pretty sure that it's gone past as free at some point. There is just days of fun to be had in this mercenary mode because of the panic, the fact that you start separately, have to find each other, you need to get to know the maps, and you've got to work together to keep this score up. The unlock system unfortunately has been pushed out the window because you've got access to everybody. But when you played this on the disc originally, the better you got at mercenaries, the more characters you got to unlock with loadouts that just made the game more badass. And of course you got that prison level, which is just completely unique to the entire series. It's been too long since Wesker's treble-barreled shotgun featured on this channel. Oh god, it's time for the sub beg. Jesus, I hate this bit. But you might already know who I am, or this might be the first time you've seen the video. I have got a 6-year-long list of split screen and couch co-op videos. I suggest you have a quick look and click that button. Okay, while we're looking at this horizontal split, what's going on here? Borderlands 3 is #1, by the way. Okay, we had a problem with legible text and issues with the infantry just being crap. I tested it on both horizontal and verticals. Brilliant. Had some major problems on launch, and even when the first 5 version of this game came out. Incidentally, this is 5 footage, and I love this game on the PlayStation 5. Its split screen is market leading. It is absolutely ferocious with its power on performance. Why have you put it above Tiny Tina's Wonderlands? Well, a couple of things. This has got loads of gore in it. In actual fact, quite a lot of gore. In actual fact, maybe a little bit too much. Never thought I'd say that. But it's a real shock going into Wonderlands. There's nothing. It's arrows and skelly bones. And you kind of think, I miss the language and the blood. Can't beat a bit of swearing and gore, especially combined with this amazing loot system and a 4K option with, of course, the performance mode, which is just so pegged. It's ridiculous on the split screen. Nothing upset this game. Wonderlands is weird on that front as well. And of course the weapons and just the amount of military enemies. I love that cannon more, the big robots, the scary bosses that swear. I think if we didn't have this PS5 version and they didn't sort out that vertical split and all that infantry nonsense and the stagger on the infantry, I wouldn't be talking about this game so highly. It's really embraced the current gen systems. Again, it's AAA and pretty new and having split screen, and that upgrade was offered for free. Something they didn't do for Wonderlands. It's like $10.
Weapons Depo's a juicy target, but they've got an impenetrable security force field surrounding it.
On a story and character front, it's not as good as Borderlands 2, and of course that Assault on Dragon's Keep standalone DLC that's a bit older, that is on the PSN for next to nothing. have a look at that, because it's a really cool dose of what the Borderlands series used to be like when it comes to the writing, scripting and non-player characters. It's kind of a different beast now, but I love this game purely because of its technical prowess and the fact that it's just so damn gun heavy, and everything they implemented seemed to work. It is more of the muchness that is the Borderlands series, but when it looks this good, I think you're dead!
To see if it'll work out here, and I know that it's not.